back in Maya, we're going to have a look at making some objects that aren't in the standard objects creation menu by combining other objects together. And so we'll look at those kind of like basic first steps in polygonal modelling and construction. And I want to make a few different objects and combine them using different principles. So the first thing I'm going to do is work out where I'm going to work from. So I've made a folder called Stuff in Student there. So now I'm going to go File, Set Project, and I'm going to set Stuff as a project. And it's going to go, ooh, I haven't got a .mel standard project thing in there. Can I create a default workspace? And you go, yes. And so now we've got a .mel in there, workspace. However, we haven't got all the folders that we need to make project one. So we go project window, and it says scenes will be stored in scenes, assets will be in assets, images will be in images, source images there, You just go accept, and if you do that and then go back to the folder, it builds all these folders for you, and we're going to save scenes in there. So I'm going to go File, Save Scene, and we go Object 1, I'm going to call it Bridge, because that's the principle we're going to use. So I'm going to save as bridge, okay. So I'm going to go make a cube, and then go into its inputs here in the channel box, and go make it bigger. So I'm going to go height, width, depth. I'm going to select all those and go 2, so that's going to make it bigger. And because it's now bigger and in the middle, if I move it 1 unit, it'll sit on the floor, which is lovely. F here, okay, focus on that, and then also subdivisions, width, heights and depth. I'm just going to go to 4. So now, if I hit 3, it'll smooth, and I'll keep a kind of nice smooth box. And so that's kind of where I want to go with that. So I want to add something to it. I'm going to add a cylinder to it. So I'm going to come up here, make a cylinder, and go, right, I need to stick these two things together. I want to stick it in the middle here. So let's go and have a look at those. Face, that's 1. Hold the shift key to add selection. And so we've just got those 4 faces there, and I can go here, circularize, because I want to join a round object to it. And so I'm going to do that, and now I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 edges around it. I hit delete, right click and go to edge mode. I can go and click those, and up in this poly menu here, there's edges, I've got 8 selected. So now I know that this cylinder, I want to have 8 sides around, so there is some subdivision axis. I'm going to get 8. Subdivision caps, I don't want those triangles, so I'm going to go to 0. There we go. Radius will be smaller, obviously, so 0.55, something like that. In fact, you can see whether it's the right radius or not. You can go at the top and go F, and you can see that. You can drag it up and down if you want, so you can do that, but it's a bit. I don't know, 0.57. Yeah, it's close enough. Something like that, you know. And so subdivision height, let's go for 3. When you smooth it, it'll just make it say in the cylinder shape. We need to have a hole in the bottom, so I'm going to go here and go face, delete that, which is just the delete key. So if we now go to object mode, you get this one and just move it a little bit closer. So if we have a look in the outline of what's in the scene, that's polycube 1, that's polycylinder 1. Each one's got a little bit of history to it. It's got a place in the world where we've moved it around. So let's see what happens if we try and put them together. So at the moment, we can't bridge that gap because they are 2 separate objects. You can bridge the same object together. So I'm going to have to select the cube, shift select the cylinder, and then combine them into a single object. So we go there. So now they're the same objects. And see, now we've got polycube 2 here. But we've got polycube 1 and polycylinder 1, and we've got, in the history of this thing, both the cube and the cylinder there in its history. If I go here and go delete by type history, Maya forgets about the cylinder and the cube and leaves us just with that final object. So that's how we tidy it up to make sure that Maya's not evaluating its entire construction history while we're trying to do something. And before bridging, it's always a good idea to sort of clear that out. So I'm going to go Q, which is just select. I'm going to right click and go to edge mode. Double click on the edge of that hole, hold the shift key, double click on the edge of that object, hole, and then go bridge, and that will put that in there. Now if I go 3, we do that, but we get a little bit of a curve there. We want to tighten that up a little bit and put another edge loop in there. This is the multi-cut tool. It's a little scalpel and dots. If I come there, it'll allow me to cut edges anywhere, but if I get to the control key and hold that down, it will predict an edge loop around the object, so I can do that. And now when I go 3, it's very tight, that little corner there, which is good. Okay, so we've now combined 2 objects. If I want to add something different to the top, come here, go face, turn that into a hole, and then maybe make a sphere. But because I want quads, I'm going to get a cube, hit W and go up, and then go mesh, smooth, do that. Division levels 2, apply, and I get that cute little thing there. So that's like what happens when you hit 1, 3. It's smoothed it, but it's actually baked the new polygons into the object. So if we go there and kind of go, how am I going to dock it? Well, I know I need 8 edges again, so I've got 4 polygons down here. So I can go face, get that one, shift that one, shift that one, shift that one. I'm going to dock it to a cylinder which is round, so I'm going to circularise that. And it gives me a circle space, and I can go delete, and that gives me a hole that I can dock to that hole. So again, object mode, let's make them about the right size. So we go R, make this bigger until that kind of lines up. Let's just see if I bring it a bit closer. And see, is that a bit small? It's a fraction small. Just make it just. Oh, is it not lined up? Oh, it isn't lined up. Make it into a bit bigger. There we go. So now we've got to make them the same object. Select the original object. Shift select the sphere. And go combine, and again we've got multiple objects in the history saying I have to remember these things to make this new object, but we can go delete by type history, and that tidies those other objects away. You can right click, go edge, double click on the edge of that hole, hold the shift key, double click on the edge of that hole, and then go bridge, and then we've got again a nice tidy connection. A little bit smeary around there. If we go 1, if they're a bit too tight, we can always put that second edge loop here. Go control, stick it there. And again, when we hit 3, you can see that that's nice and tidy now. Okay, so I've now bridged together 3 objects to make a new object, and I think we're going to leave that principle there. So I'm going to go here where it says Polycube 4. I'm going to double click, and I'm going to call it grid almond object. Bridged object. Okay, and so it's got nothing in there. It's got a bit of history to it. I'm going to clear out the history to make it tidy, and I'm going to go File, Save Scene. Okay, because we'd already saved it, it's called Object 1 Bridge. Okay, right, so now I can go File, New Scene. And what are we going to make this time? I'm going to use Extrude to make an object this time. So I'm going to start with a cylinder. It's at 20 rounds, so I'm going to take that down to 12. And I'm going to go subdivision caps 0. There we go. Now its height is 2, so if we go translate 1y, goes up 1 in y, then it gives us that. So to extrude this, I'm just going to take that top face, go face, that guy there. Now extrude tool is here. It gives me a gizmo which I can add more geometry by pulling it up. Now I've extruded it. I can also move it. So move it that way. I can scale it. If I click on the box, I can make it bigger and smaller. And if I click on the circle, I can rotate it and do other things with it as well. So I can do that. And so now we've built this extra geometry on the top. And we can do different bits with that. So if I select it again and go extrude again, I can bring it up. I can go scale, make it bigger. I can go G, which is do that thing again. Bring it up again. I can hit G and I can bring it up. And I can go scale and I can bring it in. And now you can see if I go 3, what that kind of does, it starts to build different shapes as you go. And so we use 3 as predictive, because that you predict what the final object's going to be. So if I go G again, come up a little bit, go G again, a bit more, go R to scale. So I don't have to just do it on the gizmo tool itself. G again will bring me up, G again will bring me up. And then I can either stay on the gizmo, click on the box and scale in, or I can go to a scale tool. And you can start to build quite complex objects. And you can have soft bits or hard bits depending on how many creases you put in. So if I go back to 1 now and look at this top edge, I can go G again, go scale, I can come in just a little bit, move it up just a little bit, go G, move it up just a little bit, and then move it down just a little bit. And we've got 3 lines there, so that'll make a crease. If I go G, I can come up and come out. Go G, come up, come out a little bit more, go G, come up, go R, come in a little bit, go G, come up, scale it a long way, and then we can start to see what that would look like if we go 3. We've now got a nice tight little crease here, and you can start to build quite complex sort of like balustrades and different shapes just by a combination of extrude and scaling and rotation. It's usually better to not rotate it until the end, so you build a big structure and it's all parallel, and then at the end you can squeeze it around a little bit. So if I go G and come up a bit, and then go G and come up a little bit more, and then we can go G, come up, and I think we'll start to make a lamppost here. Now I press G instead of R there. It's okay. Something like that. And then G again, come up, maybe come in a bit. G, come up. Just start to make a top to it, so if I go G, and scale out a bit, move it up a bit. G, a bit more. I want to make a bit of a crease here, so I can add creases in afterwards if I want to. Do that. G, come in again. Go up. G, get up. G, go up. I want to bring it out. So anything there. W to move. G to extrude again. G to extrude again. Come in. spreadsheet come up. Oh, I just had another one in there. If these are in the wrong place, you can always go edge, double click. That'll get you the edge loop, and then you can start to move them around a little bit. I think with a face, let's just get that. And I'll take that in a bit. There. Okay, so we've now got a funky lamppost. Let's give it another crease line down here. So let's stick in hold the control key, stick in the edge loop down here. Let's stick in one there. Put a bit more of a belly on that. So if I go to edge, bring that out a bit, out a little bit, and then if we get the whole thing, 3, that gives us a kind of Victorian lamppost kind of thing. And then another thing that's worth thinking about is if I go to vertex now, I just want to twist it around a bit. If I get that, I can obviously just move the top edge and sort of quirk it around a little bit. But if I press the B key, I get soft selection. If I hold the B key down and left click, I can drag the size of the brush out. Once I've done that, I can sort of like softly bend things around a bit, so I can just grab something in the middle and nudge it. And we can sort of do quirky things with it from one point of view, and then we can go to the other point of view and get some bits and pieces in the middle. Hold the B key, bring the brush down maybe a little bit more, nudge it, rotate it, and just funk it around a little bit to make it look a little bit more organic, or a bit more time worn, or distorted by extreme heat and temperature. And that is how you can get objects out of that. So we could also put a cube on there and come up here and then go mesh, smooth, get that going, make it a bit bigger, move it along. Here we go, something along those lines. And there's our lamp top. And so this bit can go huge history, delete by type history, freeze transforms, and we can call them lamp, base. That one you can go and go lamp, bulb, and again let's freeze transforms, delete by type history, and then that's our lamp. So that's been done through extrusion, so we go file, save scene as object to extrude. Yeah. Save. So now if we go in our project folder, we've got go into scenes. You can see we've got object 1 bridge, object 2 extrude. So now we can do this thing where we go file, new scene. So this is how the studios work. If your modeler has modelled something and the person that's putting the scenes together and doing the lighting or the texturing or the animation kind of goes, right, I need those objects, what we can do now is going to go, well, right, I'm going to put in a floor plate, and go R, make it a bit bigger, there we go, freeze transforms, and go, object to spawn is floor, awesome. Now we can go, oh, but I want those objects in that, so you can come in here and go, reference, create reference, and it'll go into your scenes folder and you go, I want object 1 bridge, reference. So we've got that object now, which is lovely. We can kind of go, oh, cool, I want W, yeah, U, W, over here. I'll spin it around. So there's my first object. Yeah, cool, I and want the other thing. So, you have to have the thing selected, reference, create reference. let's have the extrude object in here. Reference it here. Cool. So we've now got some of those. So I can either alter that and then copy it if I want to. I can bring different versions on it, so I can go reference, create reference, bring object 1 in again. So I can have more than one of those. So do that. So then we can start to build a little scene with these guys in here, which is nice. Let's make that guy a bit bigger. So let's make that 20 times bigger. And that transform's cool. So there we go. That's kind of cool. And if we render that now, we go Arnold, render, and as you can see, we get a black thing because there's no lights in there. So if we put a point light in there, we'll go into the rendering bit there and go, give me a point light, move it outside the object. We put it over here, a bit of 3 point light. We're still not getting anything now until we go to its attribute editor and say be a lot brighter. So if I go E200, I get that, which is quite nice. And so make it 300. I'll go to its Arnold mode and give it a diameter, radius of 1. I'll soften the shadows off a little bit, and where it samples is 1, I'm going to make samples 3. There we go, cool. And that should make it a bit tidier and nicer. So if I come out, and I've got that over here, I can then go, so we're looking at it from over here somewhere, so if I go Control D, which duplicates the light, I've got the other light over here somewhere, and I can go Control D, and I can get the final light just over the lamp. I'm not going to put it in the lamp at the moment because that takes a little bit more discussion, so we're going to do that. And so now we're going to go Arnold, render, and see what that looks like. We're just in the area of things. If you want to know exactly what's going to render, obviously you can preview the scene over here, but you can go View, Camera Settings, Resolution Gate, and that will put that on there. And if you go View, Camera Settings, and tick off the gate mask, you'll just get a green line on the screen. But there you go, that's a cute little scene. So what we're going to do now is we're going to think about shaders and putting a camera track around it and rendering it out, and maybe sort of sticking a couple more of those objects in there. So in the next one we'll look at lighting and rendering a turnaround. Okay, so going forward, File, Save Scene As. I'm going to save this scene as combined scene, and go save as. And so this one relies on the other ones being referenced in. So if you give somebody this scene and they open it without those other files, they won't see anything. So what you have to do now is zip that whole project folder up and give somebody the whole project folder, and they'll be able to access any element of it, both combined or separate. And that's a good way of working with it. So okay, that's how you go. And then you can see now, if we go into the project folder, we're in the scenes file, we've got the combined scene, object 1 and object 2, and in the actual scene we're using object 1 twice. Later we might use a couple more of them. Okay, so there we go. That's how to reference in objects and use Extrude to make objects.